what they're coming up with. And even if I had a good idea, I don't want my good idea to derail something even better that was being worked on. I don't want to get in their ear and go, oh, he'd rather be doing more of, no, you keep doing what you're doing. Because what I enjoy doing more than anything is responding to what they give and going, I think I can make this work, or whatever, you know, or I would have never thought of that. And that's probably the biggest one of all. I would have never thought of A, B, C, and D. And that goes for more than just this role. That goes for everything.
Do you think it's possible for them to come up with something that is just so outrageous that you're just like, you know...
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, like what, you know, what would they do that you're allowed to do on primetime television? Because immediately I go there, it's like nudity, you know, but I've been naked in a play, which is different, if not worse. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything. You know, we're very lucky. Chuck Lorre is a, there may be people, I'm sure there are people who can run 22 minutes of television just as well in their own way, but you're not going to find somebody doing it better. You're not going to find somebody doing it more secure. His vision is so secure. And what it does, the reason I bring it up is because there's no going out too far on a limb for both the writers or us as actors or whatever. It's a safe environment, not in the way of going nobody can see what you're doing, but in the way of he won't let it get too far to harm the story. He won't let things stray too far from what the honest thing of the character is. So you are very free to experiment and really go for it, and because they'll say, that's funny, and it's also too far. Let's bring back to whatever, you know. And there's no price you can put on that kind of safety. You know, you're free to experiment, which is what you need to be for the most part. Although some people get results under very dictatorial, frightening circumstances. So this is his way of doing business, I guess. You know,
it's a friendlier
and I'm
way.
responding to it.
Right.
Yes.
And so, and also, you know, now that it's the third season, I'm sure that you have a much friendlier rapport with like your co-stars, and you feel much more free in terms of, you know, working with them.
Yeah, it's been a good situation from day one. So it has increased, but we didn't have some you know, watershed moment where it's like, oh, now we're getting along, or now we can talk. That didn't really happen. It's gotten easier, but it's been a gradual, very natural thing.
Okay, so I think we're going to open up to the audience and take some questions if we want to. I think we have 2 microphones set up, so right up there.
It's like being on Donahue.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
You're great in the show. The show's terrific. My question is, as an actor, I mean, it's hard enough to learn those lines every week. Is it really difficult to learn all of this sort of scientific jargon and comic book jargon that your character has to sort of spill out constantly? And do you actually memorize that, or do you use cues or prompters
It's all memorized.
Wow.
And thank you.
You are good.
Well, you know what's funny though? We work a 5-day week, and it's very common for a show. Well, shows tape all over the place, but when we tape on a Tuesday night, and when I first heard we were going to tape on a Tuesday night, coming from theater, I thought, oh, that sucks. Who goes to a show on a Tuesday night? You know, that's, you know, blue hairs or whatever. That's what we used to say in the theater. I don't mean it insulting, although it is, isn't it? Anyway. Sorry, backtrack. I just thought it would be hard to get a good audience for that night. And not only is it not, it's not theater, it's television, and it's different. And we get all sorts of people who've come to town to do, like they're on vacation and they come to our show that night, or we have regulars, whatever. But what saved me completely on exactly your point, because now I get to rehearse Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday I don't have to be at work. And what sucks is I don't really get a weekend, but I lock myself basically in my house, and that's what I do all weekend is memorize. Sometimes it's a lighter episode and it's easier than others, you know. Sometimes it's awful and you want to shoot yourself. But, you know, that's the chance to get it done, and that's why. The hardest part after that is I don't understand a lot of, you know, like, even the simplest pop culture references, if we didn't have Wikipedia and YouTube, I could not do this part 30 years ago. I really couldn't. You know, we were just talking the other day, me and somebody, about there's something from Star Wars which I saw. He goes, it's a trap. And I was like, you know, what the hell is that? And so they send me a YouTube clip with it. Like, here he is, Colonel Akbar, whatever. It's a trap. And, but, you know, so I use it for that. A lot of, like, the Wheaton. I had to look up the William Shatner because I've never seen any of the Star Trek movies, you know. And then... I want to alienate the Star Trek. I'm going to alienate everybody tonight. But I hadn't, you know, and there's the acting. But those are on par with the science, which is really, like, Wikipedia and things like that have been really helpful, where I'm like, please just let me get enough of this so I know why the hell I'm bringing it up. You know, I'm never going to understand the whole point, which is kind of the point of these characters, which Chuck and Bill were preaching from the beginning of the show. They were like, they're not... Well, yes, they're nerdy, but they're geniuses. These are minds who are doing things that we're not capable of wrapping our heads, and boy, is it true, you know. I've learned a couple of terms for the crossword puzzle that's been very helpful. And the easiest ones, like one I've used several times is race in an H.G. Wells novel. And I'm like, oh, like a race in H.G. Until I learned, no, it's a race of creatures, the Eloi, E-L-O-I, which apparently is very handy in crosswords. And the other one is something being it's out of your understanding. It's out of your ken, K-E-N. Sheldon says that, apparently. I don't. But now I do. Now I know how to use it.
So what's it like when you guys go to, like, you know, Comic-Con, where you guys always have panels, but, you know, those are very intense fans.
And yes, but in the most warm, we have... Maybe everybody who does a show feels like this, although I can't imagine it's completely true. I would imagine just for even dramas, it's different than it is for, like, a sitcom. But we have the sweetest, warmest fans, and the Comic-Con, you know, when we first went to Comic-Con 3 years ago, right before we went, I read an article in a paper about how there were some complaints that Comic-Con was being, I guess, misused in some way, like, I don't know, what's a good example? Like, what the hell is such and such movie doing here? And
like
it was
Transformers, you know.
Well, no, but even further afield, almost like a Merchant Ivory thing, or it wasn't, but, you know, of that nature, where I looked and was like, oh, you're right, what the hell are they doing at Comic-Con? But it's a good marketing tool. And I thought, oh, are they going to look at us like, yeah, take it, just marketing here? Then we went to the panel, and they watched a clip reel of our show beforehand. And so first off, it was weird to watch a TV show in a big group of people, as you just did. You don't normally do that. You're normally at home with a small group. And secondly, the way they were reacting to the clips, I was like, oh, it's so stupid, but we're representing a lot of the people here, you know. And not just I don't mean in a nerdy, geeky way, but in that way, like, I remember one clip in particular where there's a knock at the door, Leonard thinks somebody broke in, and he picks up a lightsaber from his bedside. And I was like, these are the people that would have a lightsaber next, or they might, you know. And I had never judged it as, oh, that's outlandish before. I just hadn't thought about it at that level. And then I realized we did belong at Comic-Con. And now we'll go back for our third time this year. And as opposed to being like, oh, what's going to happen? I'm very excited. It's the sweetest. It's very nice. Kaylee sometimes, I think, gets scared. But it's hard to be a girl at Comic-Con if you're not dressed up as Leia, you know. Right.